Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Like a Boss, Insights with Influencers and Badasses like you. So I have a true badass of badasses today on the call, Roland Frasier. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is super exciting for me because you've kind of been a mentor for me, like afar. I've known you for many years. We've been in a mastermind together, and I just think you're amazing and a badass, and you've just been definitely a mentor to me for many years. So I just kind of excited / nervous to interview you. Isn't that crazy?
Should be fun.
I know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Okay, so I want to introduce you to Roland Frasier. And when I was reading the bio early in the green room, everyone, he was like, just say what's there for you, because his bio is just insane in the world of who he is in the world of business. So I just kind of want to share with you, you can go to rolandfrasier.com and go check out his official bio. But instead, I kind of want to share who he is for me. So for me, Roland Frasier is not only a badass, but he's what I call one of the smartest guys I know, the wicked smart guys I've ever known. He's able to look at business in a way that sometimes just kind of boggles my mind, of being able to look at businesses and take them from 6 figures to sometimes 8 figures and beyond, and figure out a strategy plan that I've never seen before. I've been in private meetings with him. I've also been in a group session with him where he takes businesses and flips them just by one word or recategorizing, and literally creates massive amounts of assets for the business. So I think it's pretty powerful. That's my introduction to you. You're a badass. You're an entrepreneur, of course. You are a co-principal, correct, of digitalmarketer.com?
Correct.
All right. And War Room, correct?
Yep. War Room Mastermind.
Awesome. And many, many other businesses that feel free to go check out at rolandfrasier.com. So for who you are for me is a mentor. So can I say that?
Nice.
You're welcome. So I'm super excited to interview you today, and we didn't even discuss what the hell we're going to talk about. So I guess we can talk about whatever you want. Let's go start this. What's right now on your plate right now? What's going on? What's your focus?
We are growing digital marketer, especially internationally. So we have an event in Tel Aviv and Israel in June, and a bunch of events all over the world. We've got Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is our big marketing summit. It's the biggest digital marketing summit in North America, and it's going to Russia and Singapore and Hong Kong and Amsterdam and New York over the next year and a half. And so that's pretty exciting. So I like that. International is fun for me because it's just such a wild west and such blue ocean opportunity in those places. And then I just acquired an interest in a company called Big Block Realty, which is the fastest growing real estate company. It was number 28 or something like that on the Inc. 500 the last few years. And we've got a lot of SaaSes, a lot of software as a service products that we're growing right now. And then I'm doing something in the OSHA compliance space with another partner, and just all that stuff. It's growing War Room. We've doubled the size of our mastermind. We have 200 members now. We're trying to add another 100 this year. I'm going to try. We're going to add another 100 this year, and we just exited 3 of our companies and acquired 2 new companies. So that's a little bit of what's going on right now.
Just a little, not much. So you got a lot of time on your hands. Just kidding. You cracked me up with that. So I do have a question for you, because I was part of, I was at the very first digital marketer 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when it was about 100 people or maybe 150. I don't remember. The room was, in Austin, and
the TNC. I think it was 262. I think they said.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, so 262 classroom style, one room, Perry and Ryan there at the front. And I remember the only booth outside was one table, and it was one person hey, and throwing business cards out,
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. You guys have come a huge way. The one I just went to back earlier this year was around 6,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we had about 6,500, and then next year we'll move to the convention center and we'll have 10,000. So that'll be fun.
So that's a huge difference, obviously, from 250 people to 6,000 or 7,000. And
I don't see it.
You came in at a certain time. What do you think that growth was really? Was it timing? What did y'all do to really create that growth?
I think we created and it was Ryan and Perry and Richard for the first, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So for the first 3 years, before I became a partner. It was Ryan and Perry and Richard Lindner, who's the president now of Digital Marketer. And it was unique in that it was really content focused, and it's cutting edge content. It's the Digital Marketer is famous for being on the cutting edge of all things digital marketing. So it was strategies and techniques and people who were speaking who had not really shared this kind of stuff before. So that's, I think, the first thing, really, really valuable, unique content. The second thing was, even back then, it was an experience, because it was what we called the Ryan and Perry show back then. And they are very different personalities and played well off of each other. And so that was kind of cool then. And also they had an audience. They already had media through Digital Marketer. So they had an audience. So it's a lot easier to go to your audience and say, hey, we're going to have an event, than it is to say, hey, we're going to have an event, let's go find an audience. And so I think those three things were what initially caused it to catch on. And then I think adding really valuable content from additional speakers, going to a multi-stage format, really building up the sponsors so that there are people that come now. We had 200 sponsors this year. We'll have, I think, 350 next year. So it's really a place that people go now to actually look at solutions and providers and find out new things that they might not, tools and things like that they might not have known about. And it's also become very much a place for networking. So we really push the parties and the groups that are around TNC that are supporting that, so that there's lots and lots of networking. We've started even reaching out to people and sponsors and connecting them. And so we basically talk with the sponsors and say, what kind of people do you want to connect with? And then we start setting up meetings for them. So all of those things, and then moving the venue from Austin to a much, I think, sexier place in San Diego for that time of year. So it's everybody that's experiencing the heart of winter can come to San Diego and have blue skies and oceans. That's a good thing too. And a lot of really intense marketing and looking at where we can improve and how we can better meet the needs of the audience. I think all of those things, it's all of that coming together at the same time.
Yeah. And it was also, I think, some aspect of the timing as well. You guys came in, what year was that when they started? Was that 2009, 2010?
It would have been 2009. No.
2009, right? I think I moved in Austin in 2009, 2010, that year. And the place they had it was down the street from where I live now. It was like a half a mile, the Hyatt, right? So
the Hyatt, yeah.
I find it fascinating seeing the growth of that particular conference, and coming from the event business that I was in, it fascinated me. It's kind of watching it from the inside and how you guys grew it and how you guys are going to go to that next level. My question is, how do you, you're like the mastermind behind it in a lot of ways. How do you structure it so that it's now going beyond the Ryan and Perry show? It's gone beyond that. It's way more beyond now a corporate. You guys sold a partial of it recently. Mm-hmm. Why did you do that? What was the strategy behind that?
Sure. Well, one of the things is we didn't want it to be about when we met, when I came on board, and it's definitely a team effort. I mean, I can't tell you how much Richard Lindner has added to the marketing side of that, and Ryan to the content, and Perry's always delivering crazy off the wall content plus personality. The one thing I forgot to mention also that was a big change was I lobbied really hard to dramatically increase the production budget. And so I wanted it to be a show, a world-class event. And so we literally doubled the costs of putting on the show from 2013, which was the first year I came in, but I didn't get to the only thing I got to do in 2013 was speak and negotiate getting William Shatner to come in as our very first celebrity guest. But after that, like 2014, I got to actually really go in and work on how can we create an experience. And while everybody else was doing pipe and drape and, just kind of a traditional convention experience, we created a show. And that's why we've added lasers and fire pots and all kinds of side graphics around the room. We do LED walls. I mean, we have a DJ on the stage. We had this year lighted handbands that people could hold up, and that production quality is a big deal because it is, it needs to be not just spouting information from stage. It needs to be entertaining, and we're very, very conscious of that and very focused on it. So I think that was a really big thing. And and then that multi-stage experience too. A lot of people don't realize that having sponsors is important. So that was another big focus of mine.
You've done a great job of that. If you could speak to that for a second on sponsors, it's brilliant how you guys have done it.
Yeah, when I came in, we had 8 sponsors that generated $40,000 in 2013, and this year, I guess, I think it was right at 2.5 million. So the sponsors basically pay for the event, and everything else is profit. So that's kind of unique. And but to have sponsors, not only do you need to have a marketing plan to go out and get them, which we created, but you have to have a full-time team of people. You have to really think about serving them as well. So we realized that we have several different clients. Our clients, not just the attendee. Our clients are the sponsors. Our clients are the attendees. Our clients are the speakers. And our clients are the people who are behind the scenes as partners and promoters. So knowing that we've got all of those clients to serve and focusing on them specifically as to how we can serve them best has had a huge deal. So sponsor wise, creating a pipeline. So we have a pipeline of about 5,000 sponsors that we are in contact with throughout the year. We have sponsor VIP rooms. We provide anything the sponsors want. We have a concierge team of 4 people that goes around to all the sponsors throughout the show and says, what do you need? And whatever they say they want, we get, so that they can spend more time in the booth. If they want a drink, if they want a beer, if they want a lunch, whatever, we serve. We do serve lunches and everything on property in separate rooms for them. I mean, we have sponsored gifts, so we send them gifts. We have a gifting program for speakers and sponsors and VIPs. So all of that stuff, I think, really fits in. And then we have a complete sponsor package that gives them all the demographics and psychographics of the people who are attending. We now connect the sponsors, as I mentioned, to people that they want to meet and have meetings throughout the show. So it's a big deal to take care of those folks. The other thing I was going to mention is that 2013 was the last time that we sold anything from the back of the room. So we do not pitch from the stage. We occasionally have people, we have a contract with a pretty severe clause for anybody that does do that, and occasionally they do, and we have to have them not come back. But really the experience is so much better, I think, having a trade show experience where you go in and you hear content. And if you're interested in the content, then the person who was giving the content has a booth and you can go talk to them about it, but you're not commanded to stand up and run to the back of the room and buy. I think that the events that are still doing that are way behind the times. It is not a pleasant customer experience. And I think everything's about customer experience. How can you serve the people who are attending to make them happy and get them what they want? Not how can you shove product that they don't really want down their throat because you created this artificial buying, frenzy.
One of the things that I think is fascinating about your specific digital market, that event specifically, because I've been to other events, of course, right? And the breakout rooms are full.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always the case when you're adding a trade show plus multiple speaker rooms. I've been to some where the trade show is amazing and the speaker rooms, like, no one's there, What's your secret sauce there? Because that's impressive.
I think it's a combination of really carefully vetting. I think we turned down about 400 speaker applications this year, and we accepted, I think, 105, including us. We have to apply to a committee for our speeches too, and we strip the name and the company name, the name of the person and the company name, off the application before it goes to committee, so there's no race or gender bias. And that, I think, makes a huge difference. We also work really hard to know what is hot and what our client wants. We do survey our client, our attendees. We find out what they're interested in. We're keeping track at Digital Marketer of all the data of what pages of what we are publishing at Digital Marketer are getting the most play. And then the content that's around those topics is obviously what people want to hear the most. And so we know, kind of like Netflix knows what shows to greenlight based on what people watch. We have that data also for our market. So we're able to say, these are the sessions that are most likely to be successful. And then we'll also help people tweaking titles. I know that in 2014, Russell Brunson was launching, I think, ClickFunnels at TNC, and his title was some weird funnel that makes $100,000 a day or something like that. And Richard Lindner said, no, we're going to call that funnel hacking. And now everything that Russell does is funnel hacking. I think Funnel Hacking Live is his event even. So
I didn't know that story. So Richard Lindner created funnel hacking. That is awesome.
He did. Yeah. So I think that
I didn't know that story.
I think that paying attention to all those details is really important. And we are blessed that we have way more speakers who want to speak on the stage than we have slots. So we're able to pick the best people, and it's hard sometimes. And even when we're doing the program and you're looking at who you're up against, it's like, man, I don't want to speak up against this person and this person. Nobody's going to come to my session. But the truth is that we sell out every year. So every session is going to be full because we just, we don't have any extra space for people. And the fire marshal regulates, we have to have people counting at the doors how many people are going to each room. And then we end up closing the rooms because, the fire marshal. So it'll be really cool. For the first time ever in 2020, we will be in the San Diego Convention Center with, I believe, enough space that we will still sell out, but we will actually have enough space to get everybody into everything they want to see. And so, what we've had to do to cover that recently is to do live stream rooms so that we have overflow rooms where people can go and watch live streams. So it's
you got a great problem to have, Roland. It's not a bad thing. There's just too many people.
A bad thing. Not a
bad thing at all. That's pretty impressive. Were you, I would ask you got the question. I know, I'm not sure when, this is kind of the question. I know somewhere along the way, digital marketer made a shift towards agencies,
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that, when was that? Were you part of that? And why that shift versus, I was just curious, what was that decision making?
Yeah, it was really the brainchild of Ryan and Richard, and because they're primarily the guys that run Digital Marketer, and so they just really felt that a move towards upstream, towards a higher level clientele that was a large group of people that were still digital marketing centric was going to be a really good place for a digital marketer to go. And I think it makes sense, so that instead of, it was just like the decision to go from selling single programs selling single programs that basically had a very limited lifespan, like how to make money doing this on Facebook, or how to, it was more business opportunity focused in the beginning. And when I remember sitting at the table at TNC 2014 and having a conversation about how tight money was, and how, what did we need to do next? What program were we going to do to create the next program, that was going to sell, that was going to put the money in the coffers, because we were spending so much money on TNC. And the decision, the problem is that they told me, well, we have offer fatigue after about 4 weeks, sometimes 4 to 6 weeks. But, only 1 out of 2 programs is really successful. And so I was like, well, we basically need to have, 16 to 18 offers a year to be able to stay in business. That's insane. And, Perry's like, I can't write that many amazing offers. That's just too hard, because it's all the supporting information. It's not just the sales page, it's everything else that goes with it, from emails and landers and stuff like that. And so it just occurred to me, and we talked about it, is that, this model doesn't work. This model is broken. This publishing model, where we're paying 10 to 15% to other people to publish them off the top, and then we have these programs that have a very limited lifespan because things are changing so fast in the world. So we decided to build something that would have a catalog of products, to move away from publishing, to do our own stuff, create our own content, our own products that we owned. And that started the move towards evergreen products in categories like you now see with our certifications. Then we decided to go to the certifications. Then we decided to go to a model where we didn't sell them for $500 or $1,000. We sold them on a subscription basis. That was based on conversations with some investment bankers that came in and said, subscription-based businesses sell at multiples of revenue. Non-subscription businesses typically sell at multiples of EBITDA or income. So we're like, okay, well that's a good clue. We're going to do that. And then Ryan and Richard decided that it really made sense upmarket to create a program that was a higher end program that could be sold to agencies and to support agencies, because agencies have lots of clients, and we had tried in 2014 also to build funnels for people and be an agency, and it was just a nightmare. It's just a service business. It's super hard to scale. And so we wanted to be behind the scenes, one level back from that. And so that's kind of what led to that. And now we have, we might be at 1,000 now. I know we have a ton of agencies that are our customers and our certified partner program.
Partners, right? I think it was a brilliant move that you guys went into the training of their staff. Like that was the next iteration of that, or certifications of that. Was brilliant. And so I want to make sure people don't overstep the one piece that you said, that I love it. You said that investment bankers came in and focused on and said, hey, subscription-based models sell higher. That's your brilliancy. I've seen you work at this where I've seen you in a room where you talk about that. You're like, just change this. Now you have a different kind of business that you're now looked upon from this to this in the investment world. I can't even speak to the language, right? So I've heard of that word before, EBITDA. I don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, EBITDA is income before earnings. Earnings before income, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So all that really is there are non-cash deductions that come out in the accounting world for when you buy something and you have to write it off over a period of years or depreciate or amortize it, as opposed to taking a deduction instantly. So it kind of messes up the financial statements and makes it look like you're making less than you are in terms of actual cash. So when you're selling or buying a business, you typically look at a number that is basically profit without all those non-cash expenses taken out of it. And that's how businesses are typically bought and sold, unless they're subscription businesses, in which case they are typically sold for a multiple of revenue, which is so much better. Yeah.
Okay.
So think about that. My favorite example there is you think about two different businesses. Both of them are earning $5 million. Both of them make $1 million profit. The one business is subscription, one business is not. The non-subscription business, let's say that they both sell at a multiple of 6. So now non-subscription business is 5 million minus 4 million is 1 million in EBITDA. So it's going to get a 6 multiple. It's going to sell for $6 million. The other business is $5 million subscription business. It's going to sell for a multiple of 6 times revenue. It's going to sell for 30 million. 30 million is better than 6 million.
Yeah.
Every 24 million helps, I've always said.
That's true. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know how you're going to answer this, okay? Mm-hmm. If you could start any business from, I know you do a lot of businesses, but I'm just asking generally speaking, okay? Knowing what you know and where the market is today, if you could start any business from scratch right now, what would it be?
I wouldn't start one from scratch because I think it's so hard to build the momentum that businesses get. So my whole thing has been, the last business that I started from scratch is a direct mail business that's still going today. It was 25 years ago now. And I'm really excited to have it, but I'd never want to start one from scratch again. So I always look to partner with people who already have something going, because that initial stage of startup is just so hard, and so many of them fail. It's so fraught with peril and, things that can go wrong, that I find that the things that I'm really good at, which is business strategy and growth and scaling and funding and exiting and buying, those skills really apply best to businesses that are already going. So I wouldn't. Now, I will tell you that the businesses that I'm getting into right now, one of the acquisitions was I mentioned a real estate brokerage business that's 100% commission business. So it's a different model than the traditional real estate. And we're looking to build a subscription-based business around that. Another one that I just partnered into does some governmental compliance stuff under OSHA, and we're turning that into a subscription model also. So I'm looking right now for businesses that are already successful that can be transitioned from non-recurring revenue into recurring revenue businesses, because they sell for so much more.
Got it. Okay. So I heard SaaS and recurring revenue. That's what's recurring revenue. I just want to make sure if you heard that recurring revenue.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a totally off the ball question. So based on that information, how smart as hell you are on this stuff, what do you think of Uber and Lyft from a business perspective, a business model perspective? Would you consider that recurring?
Oh, well, I consider it network effect, which is another thing that we didn't talk about. So
Okay.
those businesses have two sets of customers that they serve. And as each of those customer segments grows, it makes the business more appealing to the other customer segments. So as Uber gets more drivers, which is their primary customer, they realized, they get more people they have more drivers available. So more people want to use the service. So they have that. Now, they're not recurring revenue in terms of they have not yet said unlimited Uber rides for $100 a month or this many Uber rides for $100 a month or anything like that. But they're recurring revenue they're not recurring revenue, but they are kind of recurring revenue-ish in that somebody who uses that system and finds that they can get the thing that they want, which is not having a car and get something to show up and take them to where they need to go, that is something they're likely to use again and again. And they're more likely to use it based on the network effect of the more drivers who are available. And the more drivers who are available are likely to use the service based on how many customers who want rides are available. So those two complementary customer segments that create that network effect is another thing that I'm looking for. So just like I mentioned with TNC, we have a network effect in that the more customers, the more attendees we have, the more speakers and sponsors we can attract. The more speakers and sponsors we have, the more attendees we can attract. So that's a secondary layer that I like to put on the business. Okay,
interesting. The network effect. That's new for me. Yeah, because the reason I was asking, obviously, because it's obviously in the news a lot and stuff like that. And they were talking about how both of them are not profitable technically, right? And I found that fascinating because they don't really own anything.
Well, they own their customers, so if you think about
products, I was thinking like build like they don't own the cars necessarily. There wasn't anything a major overhead that I thought.
Technology. Yeah, just tech, right? Huge overhead there and advertising. But those businesses, so that's a different kind of business, and that is that's a Silicon Valley model of let's build it and get a bunch of people there, and eventually we'll figure out how to make money. And obviously it works. Jeff Bezos has done a fantastic job of that with Amazon. The interesting thing to me about Uber and Lyft is that Uber, I think, was initially focused more on the customers and not on the drivers. And Lyft really, I think, got a leg up because Lyft realized early on that their primary customer was the driver. And so they focused more on that. So I think that was a big thing. And if you want to read more about network effect, Peter Thiel is the guy I think that talks about it the most, but it's definitely an interesting thing to look at.
That's interesting. Okay, sorry to totally just go on that whole tangent I was just
go anywhere you want to go.
Everyone lips totally random. Maybe that's because I'm in downtown Austin, as you know, and the scooters are everywhere, and it's just you have to walk over them, and it's the most annoying thing on the planet. But there's a revenue, and those things are constantly going. There's 10,500 of those, and during South by Southwest, it was the only way to get around town, to be honest. So I was like, wow, they're it's just it's people who don't live in a city like San Diego that has them, I think, right, in San Francisco. And then downtown, I live and breathe them, and people go to work on them now. It really is becoming a transportation. And now there's a conversation about, just don't want to go on a tangent. There's a conversation about they would be 16 years old or older. And now there's big backlash because I guess parents are like, why take you to school? Just take a scooter. So the kids are just scootering themselves to school. Right. And now all the parents are upset. What do you mean? No. I don't have to get up in the morning, So, but it's a whole other world of first world problems. Right. So anyway.
It's an interesting thing that what's old is new, because if you went to China 30, 40 years ago, you would see just bicycles everywhere. And they tried that with bicycles here, but basically Lyft and Uber is it Lime? Is that the other one?
Lime. Yep. Is one of them. There's 5. There's 5 here.
Yeah. So those are the Chinese bicycles of 50 years ago, only transplanted here because traffic has gotten so much out of control, that
Right.
the infrastructure can't handle the traffic. So that's a solution to that problem, but it's an old solution, which is kind of interesting. I think I love how things just keep cycling around and
Yeah,
around and
it is
around.
definitely an old solution, and the bicycles too. Uber now has the bicycles too, and I just laugh about it because South by Southwest, a friend of mine was here, and they were in Rainy, and Rainy shut down. They actually shut down Rainy Street, and they forced no scooters or no bicycles. So they had this huge pile of literally pile. It was on the news,
Pretty
and
funny.
the only way to get down there, because I had to park, and the only way to get down there was a bicycle and then walk, because they didn't let anything in. They only let pedestrian in. So it caused a whole nother level of challenges for the police and in the, I guess, the South by Southwest, but they solved it, right? So it's fascinating to me that they were able to do that. So, oh my gosh. So, okay, I'm looking at the time, but I have one more last question, because I know you're really focused on the war room and whatnot. And
Hmm.
congratulations. You said how many people? 200?
200.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And, it's an odd question, but I'm going to ask it. Why do you think that the war room, why do people attend? What is the number one thing that they're getting, or the biggest challenge they feel they are solving while they're there?
I think that the initial reason that people join is for access to the people who are in War Room and the content that those people are discussing, because anything that happens at TNC was probably presented at War Room 6 to 18 months earlier. So you have a huge advantage to getting information before it makes it to TNC, which is generally perceived to be the most cutting edge digital marketing conference. So you're getting not only before the world, you're getting it before the 6 to 10,000 people that might be at TNC, in a group of only a few hundred people who aren't really sharing that stuff other places. That's one thing. The fact that we have 3 companies that are doing over $1 billion a year who are members, and several that are in the hundreds of millions, and then several in the 5 to 100 range, is helpful to all those companies, because they know that there's somebody that they'll have a direct one-on-one relationship with in War Room, that has the ability to, who's already been where they want to go, who's had the challenges that they're facing now, and can reach down and give them a hand up. If you're making 5 million and want to go to 10, if you're making 10 and want to go to 50 or 100, if you're making 100 or 200 and want to go to $1 billion, there's somebody there. There's at least 3 somebody's there who can say, here's how I did it. Here's what you need to watch out for. Here's some resources you should think about. Here's what we did wrong. Here's what we would do differently if we had it to do over again. And then as bigger companies, you have more agile, innovative companies that are maybe not so corporate, that you can reach down to and say, how are you guys innovating? How are you solving this problem? And so that give and take, there's not a lot of opportunity out there in a small group like that to have such quality people. And we have leaders in the speaking field, we have leaders in the publishing field, we have leaders in payments, that are all in that one place. So it's really cool. And we've lately attracted more really innovative brick and mortar businesses as well. So, we have a really large flooring company now that's a member, and a really large sign company, and an attorney that does thousands and thousands of living trusts all over, California. So it's kind of fun that we've got the super digital people that are, leveraged arbitrage of ads on native commerce networks, to somebody that's doing flooring, and they're all sharing what's working for them across these different things. The other thing that's cool is that we've got customers that are software as a service, customers that are selling online in e-commerce. We've got customers that are doing consulting. We've got agencies, obviously because of digital marketer. And then we've got information sellers. So we have those 5 different groups who are all sharing as well. And it's about evenly divided among them. So you've got about 40 of each of those different classes of folks. And so what's cool is that you'll be in the information marketing business, but you'll see that the e-com people are getting leads and doing this thing, and the SaaS people are converting those leads doing this thing, and the agencies are running these models with their most successful clients, and you can kind of take all of those things and churn them back into your information business, or vice versa. So
Right.
I think that's That's
So
pretty
the
cool.
5 categories you said were info, SaaS, e-com, agency. I'm missing one.
Consulting, coaching and consulting.
Coaching, consulting. Okay, got it. Yeah. Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got that. Of course, coaching,
Yeah.
consulting. Right, consulting. Of course, coaching, consulting, and speaking. Oh, okay, great. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's definitely a huge network. And when I first met you, what year was that? I think it was.
It was probably before I was in. I think it was like 08.
08. Yeah, I was at that the one war room. And had lunch with you and Ryan and someone else at the table. I don't remember.
But we met, as I recall, earlier than that at some other event. I was trying to think of whose it was.
Probably another. Yeah, that's right. We did. It wasn't TNC though, because they hadn't started yet. I don't remember. It was probably in some conference room.
Probably was.
And we met. Yeah. And then I did that war room. That was in 2011. I'm probably at Barton, the hotel in Barton. Country Club. Yeah, 2011 to 2012. Anyway, known you a while, right? So thank you for the interview. Thank you. You're still a very dear mentor of mine, so I really want to honor that and thank you. And so I have to wrap it up now. Any last words you want to say before I head things out?
No, just I think the important thing is that you will realize throughout your career that you're always thinking smaller than you should, no matter where you are, and where I am, and where people who are far beyond me, and people who are not quite yet where I am, all have that in common. So beat yourself up about it and never be too complacent, but don't beat yourself up about it because everybody's experiencing it. And I think that the biggest thing to think about is always think about serving the customer, that customer experience will carry you on throughout the years and everything that you do across multiple businesses and multiple platforms. And the networks and relationships that you get, which is the last answer to the war room question, because I said they come for the people who are in it and the content, but they stay for the relationships and the networking, because there are very few people who understand what we as entrepreneurs go through. Our families don't understand it. Our friends don't understand it. And so it can be kind of lonely. And so I think having an opportunity to be around people, and I would encourage people to do this, whether it's through War Room or any mastermind or events or a podcast like yours, to really take the time to form relationships outside the computer with other entrepreneurs, because they will help you get through the tough times, and they will understand what you're going through, and they will have ideas that are valuable, and they will support you when the other people around you maybe are trying to help you by telling you that you should stop.
Been there. I can relate a little. Thank you for that. And I'm currently reading the book Play Bigger. Good book. It's just about that. Like, it's just different numbers, and so you definitely play way bigger than me. And I've always looked up to you in that, but good advice. Thank you. Everyone, this is Heather Havenwood. You can check out Roland Frasier at rolandfrasier.com, and it has a list of who he is and everything that he's been up to and creating, all the different websites as well.
And my podcast.
Oh, your podcast. Oh, what's the name of your podcast?
Business Lunch.
Oh, Business Lunch podcast with Roland Frasier. I had no idea. Obviously, I'm not on everything you're creating right now. And you can check us out at heatherhavenwood.com, or you can go to iHeart, Spotify, Roku, iTunes, and 17 different national syndicated radio stations across the country, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And this is Heather Havenwood and heatherhavenwood.com.